Welcome back, friends. And today I'm going to take one shloka, in fact, a few shlokas from the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And fourth chapter, as many of you know, is about Gyana Yoga, which is the path of discrimination. And here in the 32nd shloka, Krishna is saying, the many ways of offering up the ego are declared in the Vedas, as if through the mouth of Brahma. Knowing their true purpose, which is an upward self offering, you will be freed from all karmic bondage. And later also he writes that by eating the blessed food, prasad, left from any of these spiritual fire rituals, one attains the Brahman, the infinite spirit. Even the blessings of this world come not to him who gives nothing of himself. How then can he hope for happiness in a better world? So this is a very beautiful shloka. It's a pair of two shlokas, and here he is saying about the essence of the shloka is basically about the self offering. And here also there's one more, in fact two more shlokas that I want to share, where he's saying that all the effects of karma, they are nullified, and one achieves liberation when ego attachment ceases, when one becomes centered in wisdom, and when all the actions are offered up in sacrifice to the infinite. For such a person, both the act of self offering and the offering itself are equally aspects of one spirit. The fire of wisdom and the person making the offering are both spirit. And in this realization, the yogi, freed from ego identification, goes straight to Brahman. So here we come to a pair of two shlokas where Krishna is saying, if we can sum up the whole spiritual path, if not the whole fourth chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, if we have to sum up in just one line the whole spiritual path, it's all about self offering and receiving. The self offering in this case is the offering of many things, as the Krishna himself is saying that the ego bondage is the main goal, but at the same time we learn to offer ourselves into the spirit in that yajna, bit by bit, starting from one stage to the another. We keep on graduating, but the final goal is that we have to give everything, whatever we feel that is ours. Not even this body is ours, not even this personality is ours. And then when we give everything, that alone will take us into the freedom that we are seeking, or the liberation or the moksha that we are seeking. So how do we do that? If you see self offering, what are those Vedas? As in this chapter, Swamiji has been describing that there are many ways in which the devotees are doing that self offering. And to begin with, he says that even if you see the puja that we do, we say in Hinduism that we are doing puja. Now puja is that when all your senses are engaged in worshipping the Lord. So in a way, you are hearing the chant, or you are worshipping Lord, you are saying a prayer, and in totality you say that I am doing a puja. But what are you doing? You are actually offering not only your words in the prayer, but also your senses, because you are engaged completely in that task, in that act, and you are offering your senses, you are offering your words to the Lord. And similarly, even the act of bow, if you see, now in all the cultures we see that when we go to a deity, when we worship, we bow, and that bow is also considered as an act of self offering. So you're offering yourself, you're offering your ego, because the ego is centered here in the medulla oblongata. And the moment we do a bow, we are allowing that part of the brain, the part of the self, to relax, and the energy comes over here, which is the seat of the spirit. So you see, you're offering yourself in that act of bow. There are other ways in which we do this self offering. Now, let's say when we do pranayam. Now, in pranayam, what we do, we are offering the breath. Now, in the kriya also, many of you must be kriya bans. What we are doing is that we are offering in each kriya breath, we are offering that kriya breath, our energy, you may say, through the kriya breath to the divine, again to the spiritual eye. And in each breath, you are offering yourself, and then in each expiration, in as you exhale, you receive that energy. And I'll come to that self offering and receiving, as I mentioned, is the whole summed up spiritual path. There are other ways he describes, and one of them is the arati. Now, in arati, what do? We take the light of the lamp, and which is a symbol, which is symbolically representing the light of the soul. So you are offering the light of your soul to the Lord as you do the arati, and that light, when you offer to him, as a symbol of that light is the lamp which you are which you are moving in that ritual of arati. And when you offer that light, and later on you receive that light, which is the purified light. So if you see the whole act of self offering, in whatever way we do, whether we offer our senses, whether we offer the energy through the breath, whether we offer our light, ultimately we are offering it to the divine, because we want purification of all these things. Because whatever we give to the Lord ultimately gets purified, and then we receive that purified, in that purified form through the kripa. We receive that, and that brings the transformation in us. So if you see, in totality, the spiritual path is all about self offering and receiving. And there comes a point in a devotee's life that when everything becomes an act of self offering, every act, whatever we are doing, even the mundane task, you're eating your food, but you realize that ultimately who is eating? You're offering that food to the Lord. And in each bite you are taking or you are receiving, you are saying that, okay, Lord, I am offering this to you. And slowly, if you see that whatever service you do, now if you're doing that service in the name of God, you're offering not only that act, but also the fruits of action of that labor to the Lord. So ultimately, what will happen? When we do this way, when we keep offering everything to the Lord, and the purification will continue to happen, the point comes when you give everything to the Lord, then ultimately your whole life becomes an act of self offering. And in that way, when we offer completely ourselves, slowly you start realizing that who is it that is living in this body. And that is the path of discrimination. That is the path of true discrimination, or Gyana Yoga, also known as the path of self inquiry. That who is living in this body, who is doing this act of self offering. And when I offer myself, or who is, let us say, when I take the food, who is eating through me? And in my body, there are so many processes running which are not in my conscious control, also, including my heartbeat, including my breathing, including my digestion, including my hormonal imbalances, which is happening. All this is happening on its own. And what is that agency? What is that power which is running this show in my body, you may say? What is that power? Where is it coming from? And when I work, ultimately, what is that power that I use when I'm working? So finally, a devotee comes to a point when he starts discriminating. He starts going into that path of Gyana Yoga, and starts realizing that ultimately there is an agency which is running this body. There is a higher power which is running this mind. And so you start separating yourself from your body and mind. And gradually, as you keep that distance between yourself, between the real power which is running or which is animating you, and your body and mind, you start understanding that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not this personality which has been tasked to perform a particular role on the planet during this particular time. So you are none of those things, and you just understand that it's just a consciousness, or it is just a higher power, it is just a rep- representative of that higher power, and we can say that individualized spirit is that soul which is running this show. Now, Yogananda said that on theoretical level it is fine if we understand this from the Bhagavad Gita, but we need to practice this in daily life too. And one of his beautiful books which I was reading, it's a book of Metaphysical Meditations, and I'm going to share one of those meditations with you this evening, and we will practice this meditation also through a guided practice. He said that this inner freedom or the mental freedom should become a daily act for you. One has to think about this freedom daily, one has to feel this freedom, one has to dwell upon it, one has to dream it. And the more we do it, the more you see that we will be able to make it an everyday reality. The more you will be able to feel it, the more you will be able to understand that this is actually your real nature, this is who you are. And slowly, you can ultimately, that is our goal, and we will find it eventually. But unless we practice it in our daily life, this will be always delayed. This may get delayed by few more incarnations, or who knows how much. So I want to share here one of those metaphysical meditations that Yogananda is highlighting here, and later on we will practice this meditation also for about 10 minutes. Let me share my screen here. Now, this particular metaphysical meditation, Yogananda said, is to awaken the mental freedom. And he begins that, yes, you sit still with a straight spine, cover up your fidgety eyeballs with the sheets of your eyelids. Sometimes he uses those poetic expressions, with the sheets of your eyelids. Hold them still. I'm just reading now, we will be practicing it, so let us just go through it. What is he saying? Then loosen your mind from the consciousness of body weight. Relax the nerve strings that are attached to the heavy muscles and bones of your body. Forget the consciousness of carrying a heavy bundle of bones tied in the thick cloth of flesh. Now just imagine how these sages, they talk about body in such a language. They define body as nothing but a bundle of heavy bones tied in thick cloth of flesh. That is what it is. Rest. Free your mind from the consciousness of a beast of burden. Do not think of your body load, but feel your soul untied from the constant material quality of heaviness. Mentally race in your fancy's airplane, above, beneath, left, right, in infinity, or wherever you want to go. Feel and meditate on this, your mental freedom from your body. And this line is very important, he said. Dream, dwell, and feel this body aboveness, because you are not the body. One has to practice it every day when sitting still. And you will realize that the consciousness of freedom will constantly increase when we practice this. So let's practice now, and I'll guide you in this short guided meditation for 10 minutes, and then we will be sharing some more words of wisdom from Swami Kriyananda, that how can we practice it in daily life, and what are the gains when we practice this freedom this way. So let's now meditate for about 5 to 10 minutes. Let's sit with a straight spine and just relax your body. Keep your body absolutely relaxed, your spine straight, your eyes are closed, and keep your gaze gently uplifted, and also your gaze is still. Don't move your eyeballs. And at the same time, keep your gaze relaxed, as if you're looking through an imaginary window at the point between the eyebrows, without straining your eyeballs. Keep yourself absolutely relaxed. Now imagine that you are in the space where there is nothing far ahead of you, there is nothing beneath you, there is nothing on the left, nothing on the right. Everywhere there is vast space of infinity. And just like we are keeping our eyes closed now, so you can't see your body, and in order to exist we don't need a body also. So for a moment feel that you do not have a body. Nevertheless, you still exist, because that feeling of existence will always remain with us. That is our eternal reality. Let's feel ourselves absolutely weightless in this vast realm of space, without that beast of burden, as Yogananda was mentioning. Absolutely weightless, without any body, without that burden of flesh and bones that we are carrying always. And you may also imagine that you are nothing but just a glow of light. And you can roam freely in this vast realm of space, expand to any degree, to any length as you can think. Because light can travel to any dimensions. Expand yourself now in that bubble of light. That glow of light can reach even to the distant galaxies. Feel free to move from one galaxy to another, maybe. And above all, enjoy this state of freedom that you are visualizing for yourself and feeling, as Yogananda said. Feel it, dwell upon it. Let's continue to meditate upon this expansive meditation. You can also feel that this glow of light, wherever it is traveling, whosoever it is touching, it is giving him or her the same feeling of joy and peace as we are feeling in our hearts now. as we continue to meditate on these vast, infinite spaces, I'm going to repeat now the words of the Master from Samadhi poem, which are resonating with this infinite soul expansion. Keep your eyes closed, feel the joy of this infinite freedom that we have within ourselves. He says, beyond limits of the mortal frame, to the farthest boundary of eternity, where I, the cosmic sea, watch the little ego floating in me. All space floats like an iceberg in my mental sea. Colossal container I of all things made. Myself in everything enters the great myself. Spotless is my mental sky, below, ahead, and high above. Eternity and I, one united ray, a tiny bubble of laughter. I am become the sea of mirth itself. Let's feel that these ripples of peace are expanding everywhere in all the directions. To infinite lengths in space. And spreading everywhere these vibrations of light, peace, and joy. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now that was a very brief experience in meditation, friends. And I would encourage all of you to practice, as Yogananda himself is saying, that this inner mental freedom is our birthright. This is who we are. This is our real nature. But we need to practice it daily. We need to feel it. We need to dream it and dwell upon it. That is why he was encouraging everybody to revise or speak and say this poem Samadhi also, because that suddenly gives you the glimpse of our real nature, of what this universe is, what is our relation with the universe. And I was reading about Swamiji's this book, The Eastern and the Western Thoughts, which he wrote, I think, long back. And there was this story, probably you must have heard this story, where he mentions about one of the dreams that he had, where he found that they were living in this torture chamber. And this torture chamber was on the upper floor, or on the almost the top floor of this building. And many of these people and his family and his other friends, those who were living on the top floor, their everyday routine was that these torturers were coming and they were torturing them every day. And there was this, he said, it was just a matter of routine. So there was nobody was thinking of even rebelling or rebellion, because this was the way of life, and it was all happening in his dream, he says. And it continued for many days or maybe many months. And one day, some of them realized that, this can't go for on, and let us do something. And so they kind of they did a kind of mutiny, and where they slayed the torturers one fine day and ran away from the building. And they rushed out, and they saw that this building was all alone in the secluded place, and all around this building were vast farmlands, very big, huge farmlands, and there was no other building in that area. And as they were running, and when they felt they were at a safe place, when they looked back, they saw that those torturers were again resuming their business of torturing other people. And they thought that actually they had killed them, but they continued with their business of torturing them, and nobody bothered actually to chase them also, because that building was all empty. And as they came out freely, ran away. And later on, Swami said, as I told my friend in that dream, he said, can't you see that in this dream, or in this in by rushing away or by running away, we have actually conquered our own minds? And then he said, I woke up. What this dream, Swami said, is actually telling us is that eventually the freedom lies only in conquering our own minds. And what does that real freedom means? That freedom means that the torturers of fear, or torturers of desire, or torturers of anger and attachment, they will continue to torture us in our own minds until we say, okay, enough is enough, and I am going to now go beyond them, and I will not accept this torturing game now anymore. And then only we will be able to escape the confines of the mind, and then only we can say that we have won the real freedom, which is like conquering ourselves, conquering our own mind. And eventually, when we win over our own mind, we go towards the final freedom, where we understand that yes, when we offer ourselves completely, as in this Bhagavad Gita also he's saying, when we offer our everything to the Lord, and we continue to keep offering, not only it will give us that mental freedom from all those torturers, but also the final freedom when we see that it is all a dream, where only God is playing these different roles, and I am not this personality or any of those personalities which came in different incarnations. So here Swami is saying in this book, where he talks about the freedom, he says that freedom must be lived. It is an attitude of mind, not a social condition. If you want freedom, tell yourself that you are free already. If you want to get rid of inharmony, he said, concentrate more on harmony. If you want to get rid of evil, concentrate more on goodness. Anger over the injustices of life only adds darkness to darkness. Now, this is very important, because often we feel, when we go through our lives, so many things happen. Fear comes, challenges come, desire and attachments come. But sometimes we may become off balance, we lose our center, we may start looking at the disharmonies of the life, or we start looking at the dark side of the life, or we may lose our composure, we may get angry over other things. And then he says that in that way we are actually increasing the darkness, because the real freedom is to escape from those torturers which are torturing our own mind, and those who are within our own mind. And that can happen only by self-offering, as the key in Bhagavad Gita. The more we offer ourselves, the more we receive the kripa. The more we receive the kripa, the more we are able to transform ourselves. And finally, as Yogananda is saying, that we have to practice this freedom every day by feeling that I am not this body, I am not this personality, I am not this mind. I am like that light which has no form. And when you continue to dwell upon that reality, suddenly you start realizing that how can a light live in a fear? Because the fear is only to the extent we feel that I am bound to the body, or I am limited to the body. To that degree only attachments also come, because attachments will also come to that. Attachments are only to the body. You can't stay anything, nothing can stay attached to a light. When you feel yourself that you are light, or you are nothing but peace, or you are nothing but joy, you will not have any attachment, you will not have any fear, you will not have any desire, because suddenly you feel that you are everywhere, just like in the Om chant we were saying, I am Om, omnipresent, all pervaded. Then if everything belongs to you, how can you be attached to any particular thing? And how can be there any anger? Because everything is in you, and everything is happening in God, everything is an extended self. So there can't be any anger or any disharmony, but that's a process, which will continue to happen over a period of time. But the pathway of Gyana Yoga, which in this chapter Krishna is describing, is all about taking one step at a time. But most important thing is to practice and dwell upon and feel and dream that freedom in our everyday life.